What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Rage Traders NRL Supercoach podcast. And today we have another video for you, another banger. And of course, going deep into some stats. And I guess I wanted to think of something that could be cool and different. And I thought of maybe players that we could avoid. 8 players I have right now that I've gone in, handpicked. And what I did was I sort of went from the highest priced player and essentially just kept going down. And when I saw a name, I just said, you know what? I don't think they're a buy. Now, a lot of these players also, I thought to myself, I actually think people might go out of their way and pick them. So that's why I chose them. Now, this is not to say that I don't think you could find more players or more people that I could put down to say they should be avoided. Okay. It's just, I went down, I found some, and I just wanted to make a video out of it. Maybe we can do more in the future, but for now, this is what I've got. And I didn't want to go down into the 400, 500,000 mid-price sort of players. Every player here that I have is 600,000 and upwards. So before we start, if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give it a 5-star rating. That would be absolutely appreciated. And if you are watching on YouTube, welcome aboard. You get to see my face. Whether that's lucky or unlucky, I'll let you decide. But please comment for the algorithm, like and subscribe if you feel like you enjoy the content that you see. So let's get into it. 8 players that I think you should be avoiding for the 2026 NRL Supercoach season. I'm going to start with Hudson Young. Now, last season, he was priced at $602,500 coming into the start of the season. Now, his price is at $754,000. That is basically a $152,000 increase, which is already massive in itself. Not only is the price rise there, he has a new halves combination that we don't know if there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing if they don't get off to the best start, if they're not as good as last season. I think a lot of people are expecting them to be a top tier team again, and I don't know if that's going to be the case, to be honest with you. Jamal Fogarty for that team was one hell of a core player, if not the main sort of the rudder of the boat, the guy that was just the engine that kept things going and everything came to him. And I honestly think it's a massive loss for them. He is a really, really solid player, and I think it's a wait and see. They also have 4 away games in the first 6 games. That's always tough. He has an average of 49 in base, which is absolutely amazing. But I just can't see him breaking his price. So I want to be coming from a point, didn't mention this in the intro, but we also want to be making money. Their opening draw is Manly away, New Zealand away, Bulldogs at home, Sharks at home, Newcastle away, and Souths away. So we don't know how that Manly away game is going to be. There's going to be a bit of a grudge match there because Jamal Fogarty is going to be versing his old team. So that could be very interesting. And I think Manly will get away with the win on that one, to be honest with you. But very interesting to see. But Hudson Young is my first pick for a player I think you should avoid. Now, next, funnily enough, is someone from Manly, and that is Ruben Garrick at $664,500. Now, the reason I think Ruben Garrick is a definite fadeaway if he doesn't get kicking. Now, his stats are for career 76.4% in kicking. In 2025, 73.6%. Jamal Fogarty stats, career 79.3, 2025, 80.7%. Now, that's not to guarantee just because the percentages are swayed in Jamal Fogarty's favor that Ruben Garrick is 100% a fade. However, if this is the case, definite fade for me. He's going to be losing anywhere from 5 to 10 points per game. At $664,500, that's not a small price tag. We know what he's capable of. Also, I think where are they going to go most of the time? Like this new halves combination, very interesting to see if things change up. You know, DCE loving also the Olakau'atu side and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ifs and or buts with this team, and I think you just have to wait and see. I think there's a couple of Manly players that we're just waiting on seeing, and I'm pretty sure, so they also, and another reason for this, which I've also included another Manly player that can be chosen a lot, is they have the bye in round 3. So even if Ruben Garrick, let's say, gets an 80 and a 90 or a 110 and a 70, whatever it may be, we're not going to lose out on the price change until round 4. So what we can do is bring him in round 3 to get him in to round 4, and basically get the money grab for free. So you're not losing out on not having Garrick at the start. Obviously, if you're not choosing him, you don't want him to go ballistic, but there's an avenue for you not to lose that price change and that way of making easy cash from someone like Garrick if you did want to do that. But again, you then are just trading him in to keep him for a bit. You wouldn't be trading him in to get the price change and then just trade him out. He's not that type of player. He's a keeper. So wait and see, but that's my reasoning for Ruben Garrick. Next one I have Aaron Clark for the New Zealand Warriors. $671,900. The first thing I wrote here was the time for Aaron Clark was last season. Average of 66 points in the last 9 games of the season, and one of those was 107 points in an 80-minute game. I don't know if we're going to see him play 80 minutes again here and there. It seems like he gets like 55 to 65. And it's not that he's a bad player. I just don't think there's a lot left in him for money to make that dosh that we need to get up to those premium players. I don't think also, like, they are going to have some players back. You know, Mitch Barnett's going to be coming back in round 5 as well. Obviously, he's not going to be taking his position, but I think Aaron Clark has reached his potential. I don't see him being a 75, 80 player. Even if he was a 70 player, that could be great, but with the minutes he got, with how he started last season, which was around that 300,000 mark for memory, it's just going to be something that I think Aaron Clark last season, that was his time. I had him for a ton last season. It was the best thing ever, but I don't think this season you can start with him. All right, number 4 right now for our players, Terrell May. $811,300. I think the biggest thing for me is maybe not even the round 1 buy, even though that's a massive thing. I don't think he's going to pass this $811,000 mark. This could be an absolute way of you sinking money early, and that scares me a lot. And as I say before in my other videos, the last thing you want is to take massive risks. Now, if he comes off with a 60, 65, a 55, that's going to hurt a bit over time. And I think Payne Haas out of these two is the much more easier pick, the much more safer pick, and he has a higher ceiling. It's very simple. So do the 70-minute plus games continue? That's a big thing. And I think that's the biggest thing with Terrell May. Now, if we see that he's playing 80 minutes in preseason, hold your horses, take my beer, maybe we rethink it. But I doubt we see that. And it's just a wait and watch. But for now, in my opinion, of course, Terrell May is definitely not someone you should start with. All right, next, I have someone else from Manly. You know the name, Haumole Olakau'atu. $650,000. So not a bad price tag, still a bit up there. But he's coming off a season-ending injury. He's paired with a new halfback. Well, I shouldn't say he's paired with, but the team has a new halfback. And also, again, like Garrick, the round 3 buy. So even if Olakau'atu, has a great start, the first 2 teams, him and Jamal Fogarty, the team's clicking, they're scoring 20 to 30 points. You're like, wow, this Manly team is actually looking amazing. We can still get him in. We can still get him in for round 4. There's no stress whatsoever. So I think that's the play with these Manly players. Like, you don't need to dive into the Lehigh Hopowatis. You don't need to dive into the Garricks, Olakau'atus. Turbo, bit different. If you want to start with Turbo, go for it. But yeah, this is my reasoning. And I just don't... Look, he's a very scary player sometimes. Easily can get a 90. Other games he can get like a 20 to 30, and that's going to hurt you early on. So I'd rather just wait, see what happens. Round 3 buy, let that pass, get him in if you think he's in great form, etc. Next, I have AFB, Adam Fanua Blake. Now, $638,900. For him, that's quite a scary price because he was averaging only 54 minutes in a game. And we'll need to monitor those minutes because I do not want a player, and I owned him, and he was a headache for me. I don't want a player in my team that is averaging 54 minutes. And sometimes I saw this guy get like a 60 with a try or a 70 with a try. And it was really hard to comprehend. So again, do the Sharks lose a bit of oomph because Cameron McGuinness of his injury? Do they not have that big sort of forward impact anymore? Because Cameron McGuinness is a workhorse. And obviously, Jesse Colquhoun, yes, I pronounced it right for once. He's coming in, but is he going to really take over that spot like Cameron McGuinness would? Was he going to really shadow him perfectly? Most probably not. And whether the Cameron McGuinness effect actually helps AFB or doesn't, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, they're playing different positions, but you know when someone leaves a team or is injured from a team and then someone else has to step up, maybe that's AFB. I don't think it is. But again, just going off the stats, going off the numbers of him, and going off me owning him last year, to be honest with you, I just can't see him being a solid pick to start with. Next, maybe a contentious one, Keon Kolomatangi. I nearly pronounced that incorrectly. I think I did. I did it right. $666,500. Now, there's no doubt that this guy is an amazing player, a base machine. He averaged 54 points in base. Absolutely amazing. But he's coming off a season-ending injury into a surgery that he wanted to wait for after the Kangaroos sort of tour, which is maybe a good sign because it's not that bad of an injury, but still, later surgery is always worse than a one that's earlier because, you know, it takes time to heal. And then into the news of him leaving the club. We don't know if there's going to be a bit of bad blood there. We don't know how really the team is going with him and whether they're liking him for that. Generally, you wouldn't, but I don't want to assume too much. And maybe he will get into less minutes during the start of the season, because of this injury, because of a lot of forwards coming back to South and signings coming in for South. And maybe sometimes this is what happens in teams. Now, I'm not saying they're going to shaft Colo. That's not going to happen. He's an absolute gun. And if they believe they are close to being a premiership team, you would never do that. But if the season does go a bit sour again for Souths, the only thing you do as a coach in an organization is that if a player is leaving, you then put in players that are staying with the team to form chemistry. Now, that's way later down the track. We're talking about start of season. But with everything I've said, I would be saying that you want to monitor how many minutes he's getting, who is coming in and sort of replacing or what the bench is looking like, and if he's really looking like the same Colo as last season. Now, obviously, he was in a different position. He moved to prop. He killed it there. But if this is going to be a bit of a lingering issue or just a longer recovery, this is what we need preseason for, to wait and see. So we'll wait and see on that. But for now, it's just something that we need to monitor. But for his price tag, what's happened news-wise and injury-wise, I wouldn't be starting with him as of yet. All right. Last but not least, a bit of a shorter one for you guys today, a bit of a shorter podcast, but I like doing these little ones where we can get a bit of information out and then you guys can do with it what you will. Maybe a different niche pick, but I wondered if people were maybe going this route because 5'8" is such a awful position. Ethan Strange, $610,600 with a new pairing, Ethan Sanders. Getting the goal kicking, that might not prove to be too much of a difference in anything, but a new halves combination, and I can't see Canberra clicking straight away like they would with Jamal Fogarty. No doubt Ethan can pile on points. His high score of the season was 142, but his lowest score of the season was 15 in 80 minutes. And with a tough-ish opening draw, it's something that you can't risk early in Supercoach. So that's what I put there. I don't know if any of you were actually looking at Ethan Strange, but I thought I should chuck him in. Now, a bit of a bonus player that I had. I know it's 8 players, but tell me what you think of this. Put this in the comments below, but I was so close. I had the stats out for it and everything. I deleted it and I said, I can't do it. he's premium. Like, I cannot say that you cannot start with this player. And it was Nathan Cleary. Now, the only reason I had Nathan Cleary was because I felt like they had a really tough draw, and also he could kind of get into a bit of a slowish start. But then I looked into his stats a bit. It was 82.5 average over the 9 first games, with out including the game where he had 2 points. I think it was a HIA or an injury against the Melbourne Storm. But I would love to know in the comments if you guys think that you would be fading or never starting with Cleary, or you are starting with Cleary and you think he's an absolute lock. A bit different from this subject of avoiding, but I think it was like really, really an interesting topic to end on. So there's your podcast, a little 15, 16-minute banger for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below about some of the picks I might have said. Maybe some players you are saying to yourself that you are avoiding and absolutely not going near. That would be greatly appreciated. And as always, thanks for supporting the channels, the podcasts, everything. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you enjoy the video. Like, subscribe, comment, 5 stars on the podcast, Apple Podcast and Spotify. I'll see you on the next one. It's Wolfie here from the Rage Traders. Take care. Ciao.